Good evening, I'm Asad Ahmed. Army veterans gathered in London today calling for the better treatment of service personnel. One ex-military Londoner who survived a bomb attack says it's unfair that some Irish Republican extremists have avoided prosecution while members of the armed forces are being pursued. Here's Sarah Harris.
It was more than 3 decades ago that Londoner Steve Sullivan survived the blast of an IRA bomb in Hyde Park. Today, he's standing shoulder to shoulder with other veterans to ask for the alleged bomber to be brought to justice. 4 soldiers and 7 horses were killed by a nail bomb as they made their way to the changing of the guard ceremony in 1982. Steve and his horse led the way.
I've never seen anything like it in my life. There was blood everywhere. And the fire is one thing that sticks in my mind. I didn't know what to do, so I just got down on one knee and I started stroking a horse's head.
Families and veterans gathered in Whitehall believe members of the armed forces are being unfairly prosecuted for killings during the Troubles, where some Republicans remain unpunished.
Despite the perception of bias from people here, police figures show that in fact the vast majority of legacy cases they're looking into were concerning Republicans.
Some people would say the best memorial is the peace process, and isn't it time just to let it go?
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, if you drew a line in the sand, so to speak, and said, you know, it's all water under the bridge, we will forgive and forget. It's as simple as that. There's children there that haven't got dads now, and haven't got mums. You know, they need some form of justice.
Proud of their years of service, many don't want to see anyone jailed, but want some kind of justice for the friends they lost and protection for those they argue were just doing their jobs. Sarah Harris, BBC London News.
flag in wreaths, aren't they?
Mary? Yeah.
It'll be the 20th anniversary of the signing of the Belfast Agreement. And there will be a certain number of people who will rightly pay tribute to the work of former Prime Minister John Major and former Prime Minister Tony Blair for the achievement of that agreement. However, we all know that that agreement could never have come about if it hadn't been for the courage and the sacrifice of the armed forces, the police and the security services, who for 38 years conducted Operation Banner and showed the IRA paramilitary terrorists that they would never win by force of arms. And now it is the duty of the politicians to make sure that the people without whom no peace agreement would have been possible are not left to hang out to dry by being dragged through the courts up to 40 years after the events concerned and on the basis of no new evidence. Now, Alan, you've kindly invited me to update people on the progress of the campaign to introduce a statute of limitation, which would mean that all Troubles-related allegations up to and including the date of the Belfast Agreement would no longer be capable of being prosecuted. And I explained at the previous rally, when we went into this in great detail, that the problem with introducing this is, according to the legal experts, that it either has to apply to everybody or to nobody at all. And I want to just summarize the case by reading to you a short letter which was recently sent to the Prime Minister by 4 of us MPs, Labour 2, Conservative 2, 2 of them are former army officers, 2 of them were former either defence ministers or shadow defence ministers. And this is what the letter said. From opposite sides of the House of Commons, we view with great concern moves to bring to court so-called legacy cases against British service personnel long after the Belfast Agreement brought to an end the Northern Ireland Troubles. It seems that several hundred such cases against former British soldiers may be in the judicial pipeline, despite the absence of any new evidence and the passage of up to 40 years or more. By contrast, IRA or loyalist terrorists cannot be sentenced to more than 2 years in jail, which means serving no more than 12 months imprisonment, even for multiple murder. In reality, there's little or no prospect of such people being prosecuted at all. According to expert testimony given to the Defence Select Committee, legislating to protect only servants of the state, such as soldiers and police, would fall foul of international law, as this would amount to state impunity. However, a statute of limitation preventing anyone from facing trial for Troubles-related alleged offences could legitimately be enacted. For legal reasons, it would need to be coupled with a truth recovery process, as occurred in South Africa, which might help bring closure to the bereaved families. Some people object to the principle of such a statute because it would have to cover the paramilitaries as well as our service personnel. But as explained, few, if any, paramilitaries will be tried for legacy cases anyway. The time has come, in our view, for the government and the Labour opposition to grip this problem on a bipartisan basis and agree to cooperate in enacting a statute of limitation to prevent historic cases being resurrected. The memory of the recent debacle of hundreds of soldiers being hounded for no good reason after the Iraq War is still fresh in our memory. we call on our respective parties to share in the solution magnanimously adopted in his own country by Nelson Mandela. Only by drawing a line under the past can Northern Ireland's future similarly be assured. Now that letter, which went to the Prime Minister, led to a number of consequences. We spoke to the unionist side, and we had an approach from the Sinn Féin MPs as well. And we had a discussion with the Sinn Féin MPs, and they raised two interesting points. The first point they raised was that they said that the belief that the 1998 Sentencing Act, which means that no paramilitary terrorist can ever be sentenced to more than 2 years in jail, they said that that doesn't just apply to paramilitaries, it applies to everybody, including soldiers, police, or anyone else who was convicted. Now that came as news to me, and so I raised it in a debate on the 25th of January that we held in Westminster Hall in Parliament. And I will just read you what the Minister for the Armed Forces said in reply. He said that I had asked him whether the Northern Ireland Sentencing Act applies to members of the security forces as well as paramilitaries. And his answer was this, ladies and gentlemen. He said, yes, it does, provided the eligibility criteria set out in the Act are met. In practice, no former members of the security forces have been convicted of relevant offences since the passing of the Act, so it has not yet been used in this way. Now, this is a step forward. It's only a small step forward, but at least it puts to rest the idea that ex-soldiers could be sentenced to long terms of imprisonment, whilst IRA men would only face a maximum 2-year sentence. So that is, as I say, a small step forward. But the Minister had one other thing to announce as well. He stated that the campaigns which have been raised on behalf of the service personnel and the report that the Defence Committee did calling for a statute of limitations could be featured in a consultation which is coming up. And this is the action point I wish everybody present today to take away with them. I'll just read what the Minister said on this, and then I'll draw my remarks to a quick conclusion. The Minister said, the government are committed to the Stormont House Agreement of December 2014 and believe that the next phase is to consult publicly on the details of how the new institutions could work in practice. A public consultation will provide everyone who has an interest with the opportunity to see the proposals and to contribute to the discussion on the issues. He said that as there are a range of views, and recognising the view of the Defence Committee, the government have decided to include within this legacy consultation a question on alternative ways of addressing the legacy of the past, such as a statute of limitations or amnesty. While the government are clear in their view that the best way forward is to proceed with the Stormont House Agreement institutions, in the spirit of meaningful consultation, all views will be considered carefully to inform the next steps.
Skinner, Ian Skinner, Royal Air Force Regiment, murdered by IRA terrorists near Remote in Holland, killed by terrorist sniper, age 20. Robert Paul Jones, Parachute Regiment, murdered at Warren Point. One of 18 soldiers murdered by a bomb attack at Warren Point. Age 18 years of age. You know in Article 2, human rights, right for life. Justice! Lieutenant Richard Daly, the Blues and Royals Household Cavalry Regiment, murdered by an IRA car bomb, and John Downey was the murderer whilst on public duties in London. Murdered with 4 of his fellow members of the regiment and 7 horses.
Julie's looking well today, look.
And
your mate's knocking about, mushy.
Green jackets
Yeah. Hello, mate. How are you? I saw him. Nice to see you again.
He was age 23. He was denied Article 2, Human Rights Act 1998, right for life. Trooper John Gibbons, 17th 21st Lancers, one of 2 soldiers killed by a secondary terrorist bomb on a follow-up to a murder of another soldier earlier in Mabay near Crossmaglen. Age 22, denied Article 2, Human Rights Act, right for life. Paul Hilary McFarren, Royal Ulster Constabulary, George Cross. One of 9 police officers killed in a terrorist mortar attack on Curry Square Police Station in Newry. Age 33, denied Article 2, right for life. John Andrew Cleathorne, Royal Marines.
Justice!
One of 10 Marines killed by an IRA bomb. 20th of September 1989, age 22, denied Article 2, Human Rights Act, right for life. Corporal Ian Metcalf, Green Howards, murdered in Lisbon, County Antrim. One of 5 soldiers killed by an IRA bomb, having completed a charity run. 15th of June 1988, age 36.
That's Dennis from
Private
that
Richard
don't know.
Greener, light
Supporting
infantry.
the cause. Stood out
One
the
of
front.
8 soldiers killed by an IRA bomb, placed under an unmarked bus, taking them to Omagh camp. Age 21. Denied Article 2, right for life.
There's the
Human Rights
grenadier,
Act.
look, smartest on parade. And tallest man on parade as well, looking around everybody around.
Heidi Hazel,
Look, going on tiptoes
right
now,
for
look,
the
you watch
British
him.
soldier, murdered by IRA terrorists.
Welsh Guard.
Shot while sat in her car outside her married quarter in
Mr. Blay,
Unna,
look.
West Germany.
Hello, Mr. Blay.
Age 26, denied Article 2, Human Rights Act, right for life. Sergeant William Edgar, Royal Corps of Transport, abducted, tortured and shot whilst on leave after being taken from a pub in Londonderry. 1977, age 34, denied Article 2, right for life, denied Article 3,
Hello, mate.
and torture, denied Article 6, right for fair trial.
How are you?
Alright, yeah. We've got some nice weather for us.
Lovely, isn't it? Good. Hello, Paul.
All right, how's it going?
Paul's one of our smallest grenadiers on parade today.
Yeah.
But it turns up on every single parade this man. Never stops. Yeah. Apparently Paul's won the lottery, so he's in the chair all day today. There's Julie hiding, look, cold streamer. Look. The ones that turned traitor and went on the other side, that's them. True though, isn't it? They went on the roundhead until the grenadiers at Tower Hill told them to put down their weapons or be executed. Woo. It's Rod, one of our photographers. Hello, mate. And then we got the band of the Scots Guards, and we got Bobby Crick and Alistair Weir here.
Band is the right word, B-A-N-N.
Nice of Ben, we haven't seen you for such a long time, Ben. We've missed you.
That's because you don't keep me informed.
You don't on Facebook anymore, Ben. You disappeared.
I have a telephone.
Yeah, I will take your number before you leave.
I'll take your number, sir.
And
You put on the close arrest.
hello, mate. We got
How's it going,
good
mate?
old Vietnam veterans here today. And Donald supporters, put your hand up again for Donald supporters. There you go. Got him, didn't I? They always fall for it. There's Paul, our head marshal today.
We've listened to various speeches here this morning. Let's just go back one stage. Everybody's talking about statute of limitations. There are 650 people sat in that bloody house over there. There's another 600 not in the bloody House of Lords who've done absolutely fuck all for us. Fuck all. We keep going on about the Stormont Agreement. The Stormont Agreement has been in existence for 4 years and they've still done bloody nothing about it. It gets on my bloody goat, as you know. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for turning out here this morning. I know a lot of you have come a long way and I really appreciate that. And we've even got a Vietnam veteran here today. But just quickly go back to the statute of limitations. This will take us back. Everybody that talked about it, the Defence Select Committee, the ministers and everything else, about that they can't have it for one side only. It's got to include everybody, i.e. the terrorists and that. Alright? That's a load of bollocks. Because they said it'll interfere with international law. They mean the European Court of Human Rights law. Right? Tony Blair signed his bloody peace agreement excluding service people. Right? Yeah. With John Reid and the Minister of State for Northern Ireland at the time. They recommended. I don't even think that Tony Blair took it to a vote in Parliament. He didn't. Because he knew he would bloody lose it and there wouldn't have been a peace agreement. Yeah. And this is what people get on about, that we've got to include both sides. Blair didn't. He excluded all of us and every other bloody soldier that's ever served in Northern Ireland. Yeah. That's my view on it. Let's today do the march that we came here to do and lead the protest. Hopefully, you know, they will take some notice of us eventually. Now, as you know, I'm the sort of leading the field at the moment. My latest state is that I am due in court next Thursday to appeal against the judge-only trial which they want to hold. They want a judge-only trial because they want to set a precedent for any other trials that take place involving servicemen behind me as part of the 2007 Northern Ireland Act. What they're bloody saying as part of this act is that we were terrorists the same as those other buggers. That's what they're saying. I'm appealing against that. Hopefully we'll get it to the Supreme Court. The other thing is the abuse of process hearing. We're still waiting for a result of that. And we had the hearing in November and he promised us a result in the early January. We're now in February. So Christ knows when we'll get it. But we will, I'm sure, at some stage. And it'll be the usual bullshit that you get from the courts in Northern Ireland, that they agree with the judges and we're going to trial. Or I'm going to trial. If we're going to try, that's good. Let's get it there and then let's fight it in a bloody court with a jury. That's what I want. I want 12 people making a decision, not one bloody judge in Northern Ireland. Anyway, thanks again everybody for coming. I really appreciate it. Let's get on with the march.